All right, looks like we're live. Okay, welcome to Freedom Fridays, where if you're a Scalability subscriber, you get to jump in here and ask your questions, and I help you with systems and strategy, client journey, things like that to make the software actually work in your business. And so that's what we do every Friday, and this Friday is no different than any other. So we're going to jump straight in to the questions. I'm traveling. We've already got a few people here, so we're just going to dig straight in. Jill was just talking about how she's switching the messaging a little bit, and because she's going to be a new grandma, and so now it's working with helping parents that have kids come into the digital age. She has a community for that where she sells a monthly subscription, and there's kind of a shift being made. And so that's where we're starting and where we're addressing it. Now, you had mentioned how this is more real now, right? How you're going to be the grandma, and so now you're trying to teach other people kind of these things, but you've struggled with the front side of creating content and bringing people into that space.
Yeah.
And so there's a shift, right? You're like, well, we'd have to dial into my pages a little bit or change my funnel sales page, some things like that.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. And so here's what I want to jump straight to is there is always a dialing in of every business you guys have. Okay, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. You're constantly refining the message. You're constantly tweaking the sales pages, the automations, the sales funnels. I started trying to figure out business online 13 years ago. 6 years ago is when I actually started making money with it.
Wow.
So there were 7 years of like nothing working, right? And then 6 years ago, 6.5-ish, is when we started like really things started hitting. That doesn't mean they're anywhere close to where they are today, right? And that was just in the last 6 years. It went from real estate wholesaling to systems for real estate, wholesaling, flipping, investing, to systems was my jam for any business, and it worked across the board, to realizing I'm a different type of techie where I can actually strategize 30,000-foot view, streamline something, and then pull up the computer and build it and show you how to make it easy. And so it was like, it was a constant shifting the whole 6 years. And now we own a software company, and we actually own the software and build the stuff and do the strategy. It's been a constant tweaking and changing. You guys will run into problems when you think, you know what? I have this new idea, and so I just need to start over. You don't need to start over. You need to refine.
Right.
And so your struggle has been bringing people in on the front side or creating content, which is a lot of people's struggle. And so there, in the back of your mind, there can be a temptation to shift directions and start a podcast or something different and just do that thing and then create a new offer. But you don't need to. This is a perfect content for the front side, which I think you understand already.
Yeah.
Content for the front side, where instead of you having to create a bunch of posts, you do a podcast type of episode, drop in and listen to us talk as we take this journey together of bringing a child into the digital age. And then on all of those episodes, you start pointing people back to the same sales page, the same community you were already trying to sign people up for. And you'll grow through that. And at the beginning, you mentioned how you found somebody who's been doing it for a while and they were kind of crushing it in the space. They've been at it a long time. So don't compare where you're at to somebody's 5 or 10 years later, because even a year down the road is a lot different than where you are right now, right? So don't let that like discourage you. But I think this is good too. I agree with you. I think it can be great. Like start just doing interviews and documenting the journey, kind of a vlog style, where it's just the two of you sitting and talking. You can even do them like these. Like that's what these are, Freedom Fridays. Instead of me trying to come up, instead of me trying to come up with a bunch of content and spending all my time posting content, I just turn on the camera, I see who shows up, and then it's like, let's brainstorm this out. Let's hash it out in real coaching, real planning, real strategy type of format. And it gives people a different kind of content. Some like it, some don't.
Yeah.
And so I think it'd be great front side. And then if you need to, I don't know if you'd even need to tweak your message on your sales page too much, because on your interviews or your lives, you would talk about how, hey, if you want to be part of conversations like this, join my community, and send them to that page. So they eavesdrop on the conversation, and then it's like they could actually join the conversation.
That's great. Well, I'm really reassured because I actually felt quite scared that I was messing with something that you had given me in a perfect state.
That's what everybody thinks right off the bat. And everybody thinks, well, it's a new idea, so I need to build a whole new thing. No, you're going to get new ideas.
Yeah.
Try to take them and figure out how do we dial in what we have
Mm,
working. Because rarely is it going to be a complete scrap everything and start over. It's
no.
just how do we make it better, right?
Mm,
Like you have an offer and you were going to offer something. How do we make it better? Well, maybe there's a course you throw in there. Maybe there's not. Maybe it
yeah.
was courses and now you can do a live weekly call with everybody, like Freedom Fridays, open office hours where you offer coaching as well, right? How do you make the offer better? Like we had to do the same thing with software. We have software. Software is software. Who cares? It'll all software out there will do more than most people will ever learn how to do because people won't learn how to use it. So why is mine any better than anybody else's? It's just software, right? So then how do we make it better? It's like, oh, well, we can streamline the onboarding to where people could actually figure it out. We could
Mm,
offer Freedom Fridays where we give strategy coaching to where people can learn how to actually create systems and then go build them instead of just trying to figure out how to use software and have no guidance or need to go pay for coaching. And so it's like, how do we add something else in that makes
mm,
your offer sweeter? And then if you need to, critique your web pages to reflect that and stuff like that. But in this particular thing, it's literally just a, hey, eavesdrop on our conversations. And if you'd like to
yeah.
be a part of these conversations,
Yeah.
join our community. Click here, link to the page. And then make that part of your process. So
Okay.
just like here, I say, hey, welcome to Freedom Fridays, where we do this for subscribers, for this type of person, right? Make it part of these conversations. It doesn't have to be salesy. It's just
No.
you. You're like, hey, welcome to our
Mm,
series where we're going to document our journey from this to this. If you'd love to be a
yeah.
part of these communicate or these conversations, click the link below. You can join our private community where you can actually join these conversations every week and work through these things together. And then into the episode.
Thank you. It's
You're
good.
welcome. I think
Great.
it'll be good.
Really
It's cool. Take advantage of it. And good all around. And
appreciate
then
it.
what's cool is when you have the baby and the baby grows up and all
Yeah.
that, you could literally just keep right on documenting.
Absolutely. This is what I can see.
Yeah. And all
The
of this
whole
content.
thing
Yeah.
about the baby's anonymity or, the digital footprint that you as a parent have to decide, are you going to go down that road? Are you going to protect the child? There's so much we can talk about. And I just didn't have the right vehicle until now.
hmm And so, and it's really cool. Years down the road, you'll be able to look back and you'll have all these videos.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
then you'll be
really
like,
feel
why didn't
God's
I do
given
this
me a
with all the
gift.
kids?
Yeah. I think I would encourage everyone that something I always love is convergence in business and life. And when you can get, you do this too, don't you, Aaron? You always want your family to be with you in and supportive of what you're doing and understanding that. And I feel that this is one of the best things I could possibly do as a gift to my daughter's my relationship with her, the child that's coming, and the chance to disciple both of them and the public that become my clients.
hmm
So I'm very excited, but I just took a long time to do that to get to where I am now. And ask me again in 3 months.
Well, and just so like I'm traveling right now, right? But my whole thing is like if we can't travel and have family be a part of what we're doing, then you shouldn't be doing it. That's my choice on life, right?
Yeah.
And that came from we started missions work. If God says go, I feel like I'm the hands and feet and I need to be able to go. So I don't
Mm,
want to be tied down by, oh, I've got a mortgage, so I can't go help these people when God says go help these people. That was first and foremost. So I built my business around that, right? The whole idea is that if you do have to go, your business can still go,
yeah.
right? Build things and commit to things when you do them in a way that'll allow you to keep doing it. Right now we moved, like we were moving out of our house. We're transitioning. Honestly, we're starting a new adventure. We decided to move
Yeah.
into a camper just for fun. I like to shake things up when it gets too like stationary. I'm like, we should blow this thing up. So we're we're moving into a camper just because I think it'd be fun for a while. And we were like in between like the lease running out, we were gonna move into a house. I'm like, so blow it up. But that's just us. We enjoy that. I like being able to shift it around, move around, and be flexible and have fun. I feel like it keeps me from getting too comfortable and too settled into any specific thing to where I can't go do things. So it's like all I'm getting at is when you guys create your businesses and you create this, like Jill, you're saying, hey, we're gonna vlog, pick a day and time and
Yeah.
commit to it for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
You're like, no matter where I'm at, I'm gonna kick on the camera, start a Zoom with somebody, and we're gonna talk about this for an hour.
Yeah.
Right? Like we do that with Freedom Fridays. I was like, we
Mm.
can't start these unless I'm committing to building these every Friday for whatever. Now, that doesn't mean we don't cancel some, right? We've canceled some. We've had things happen where they just don't happen, tech things. That's part of it. But overall, 95% of the time,
Mm.
it's like Friday 11:30, no matter where I'm at, we're going to kick on the camera and we're going to have a Freedom Friday. I'm going to try
Mm.
and help people and serve people. When you guys do a business, especially if you've ever heard yourself say, I feel like God gave me this business.
Mm.
You can't just decide you don't want to do it tomorrow then, after a month and a half of it not working. Like, because if you either God didn't tell you to do it or you're not doing what you were told.
Yeah.
So pick one, right? But if you've ever heard yourself say, God told me to do this, well, God told Noah to build the ark and it took 100 and some years before the flood came. Like, let's commit to things because that way you can actually get to the point where you are right now, where it's like, oh, something new came along and now I'm going to tweak the message and now it's going to build this. Oh, how can we make the offer better? Not a new one. How do we make it better? How do we critique the web pages instead of start new web pages? You know,
Yeah.
we had
That's good.
scalability for a little over a year, and I thought we had an amazing onboarding sequence. And then I started like calling and talking to people one-on-one, and nobody was finishing the sequence. I'm like, why? Like, it's awesome. Every day you get something like walking you through one thing, but people would get 2 days behind and they were like, I can't catch up on all the videos. It's like, oh. And we were over a year in, and we thought we had it dialed in, and we just took it down and created a new one. We simplified it and made it work for people more,
Yeah.
right? You're always going to be dialing in and refining. Try to dial in and refine, not start over all the time,
Right.
and commit to that 10-year journey, and it will work. Expecting the fast results is usually where we have a problem. So I think you got a good plan. Keep moving on it.
Thanks, Aaron.
And then of course, come in here and tell us how it's working every week.
Sure will.
Hi, Kristen. That's a couple times now.
Hey, hi, happy Friday.
Likewise. How
Yeah,
are you? How's everything going?
it's good. It's good. You know, I can resonate with Jill a little bit. It's interesting. We've been really trying to kind of focus in, dial in over the last few weeks and try to strategize on, where do we want to focus our efforts over the next 6 months and see what comes of that. And so anyways, I have not been doing good. I have confession as well, Jill, that I have not been in the CRM on a daily basis, but we've definitely been getting in there a little bit more. But I'm getting a little bit held up on tasks versus pipeline in the CRM. And I was
Okay.
curious if you could help unclutter my brain with that.
Sure.
Okay.
When you say task versus pipeline, what's the specific question, or what do you think of the two of them? That way I can get an idea of how you're thinking when you look at them.
Okay, so we are going to target pre-foreclosures for the next like 3 months. And so
Okay.
we did a campaign on Tuesday. And so when I enter all of those into the system, am I entering those in? And then obviously I want to do like say a text a week later, a mailer a week later, door knocking 4 weeks in, that type of thing.
Okay.
Should I be setting all that up on a pipeline and moving those cards individually for the 20 as it's happening? Or is that a task that I am programming each
Gotcha.
week ahead of time?
Perfect. Good questions. Okay, so tasks are kind of like creating to-do list items for you, right? Like if you had a to-do list on a sticky sheet next to your computer, you'd write down task, do this thing, task, follow up with this person on Tuesday, take out the trash, right? That would be a to-do list. Think of your tasks kind of that way. You're
Okay.
tasking yourself with something to do. Follow up with so-and-so, send this email, whatever, whatever. Those are going to kind of be like reminders or a to-do list, essentially, right? Your pipeline is where you actually create the stages of your process, and then you can slide the cards through your business model to see where they're at in the process. Okay. So let me clarify that. You guys see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So pipeline, this is a pipeline, and this is a real estate investor snapshot, so, which just means it's a demo account. But here we've got like new leads being analyzed, seller contacted in negotiations, send contract, contract sent, contract signed. As you go along, it's the deal, right? It's how you work a deal from new lead all the way through. That's what a pipeline is. I know you understand this, but I always do it to where if somebody watches 6 months later, they can keep up with this. So any business, you're going to run your pipeline is left to right, and it's just the stages of your business. Then you're sliding people over as they move through the stages of the business, right? So we slide somebody over to send contract when they're ready to get the contract. And then once we send the contract to them, we slide this over. Now, when we slide somebody over, say from in negotiations, and they say, yes, let's do it, send me the contract, I would slide them over here. And then I would either manually create a task that is basically a to-do list that says, fill out the contract and send the contract to so-and-so, right? So the pipeline shows me that this person is now in the send contract stage of the pipeline. And a task would be the to-do note that says, send them the contract. Now you can build an automation to where it automatically gives you this task. Or it automatically sends you an email or a text message that tells you to send the contract, right? But essentially the task is like the to-do list item. The pipeline is where you can visually see where people are in the process. Now, if you're doing marketing, you're talking about uploading a list of contacts, right? And then sending out an email every week for the next 6 months or something.
Yes. Yep.
Right. Okay. So you're going to upload the email list to the contacts. So if I go to contacts over here on the left, these are all demo contacts. That's what I'm showing you. We go to contacts, and then here at the top, you can import contacts with this little folder. Right. And that's going to let you upload an Excel spreadsheet. Now, before you do that, if I'm running a marketing campaign, you're kind of asking about the marketing campaign, right? Like what's the best way to send out text email communications?
Yeah, I guess so. Because basically once the seller is contacted, then they would be moved into that pipeline of starting working through the process. But a marketing campaign, could be 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks prior. And how do you remember to do all that on a weekly basis, and which one, and keep everybody in the process of where you are?
Yep. So exactly, we've got two things happening. Marketing up front to bring in new leads. And they're not necessarily a new lead until you get a communication started in my book, right?
Correct.
In my book, they don't drop onto my pipeline until I've contacted.
Okay.
In a positive way, not like stop, leave me alone, F you. I don't put those on the pipeline. We just delete those.
Right.
But
Yes.
any interaction we have, we're going to drop them into a new lead. So there's the campaign up front. The way I would run the campaign up front is actually with an automation. So if I'd come over here to automation, and then up here in the top right, create a workflow, and you can select a recipe or start from scratch. If I say select a recipe, it's going to show you the stuff that's kind of pre-built. And if you see here, these are a lot of like lead nurture, Instagram comments, Facebook comments, things like that. Email drip sequence. It says here, this uses the email open condition to resend each email with a new subject if it wasn't open within 24 hours. This is like a prospect follow-up one. So if you select this, it's going to go ahead and create it where it's like email, wait 7 days, email, wait 7 days, email, wait 7 days. You're creating an automation of what you want to happen in your marketing campaign. Okay. So you guys could select any one of these and it would rebuild it. I want to show you from scratch this first one here.
Okay.
So if I go from scratch, let's say Oops, got it. Up here at the top, I'm going to rename it. We'll call it seller marketing.
Let my dog out really quick. Sorry.
No worries. That little pop-up that showed up, basically it's saying that in the settings, it's always going to be triggered to allow reentry. Allowing reentry basically means like somebody could enter this workflow multiple times. Okay. So we're going to title it up top, seller marketing campaign, or whatever you want to call it, but we'll just call it that. And then I'm going to leave the trigger open for right now. So I'm not going to create a trigger, because what's going to happen is you would upload a list of, say, 1,000 contacts, and then you would push all 1,000 contacts into this workflow, and it would just start. So you don't actually need a trigger. You could just push them into it and it would start them. Okay. So we don't need a trigger. We just come here and hit the plus. And here, are you wanting to send out emails, texts, what?
Text.
Text. So if I click on that little plus, it brings up the stuff on the right that you can do. And if I just type in SMS, the green SMS means that it's going out to the client or the contact. Okay, so if we go SMS, then right here you can write it. So here you could say, hey, and then this little custom tag right here, you click on that, hover over contact, and then contact first name to make it a little more personal, and it'll put this code in right here. And then you can type. You can type whatever. This is Kristen. I was just wondering if you'd be interested in selling your house. Okay. And then save it. And it's going to show up just like this. Now, you could put a wait period. So we hit that plus. That plus again, it pulls up the menu on the right side. And then type in wait. And it'll bring up this wait thing here. You can choose right here if you want to wait minutes, days, hours. So if we just said days, we can go, how many days do you want to go in between? Like you want to text them once a week or every 3 days or what?
Yeah, probably every 3 days.
So right here, we're just going to title it, right? Wait 3 days, because that's what's going to show up right here in the list. Just right here. Okay. Then here we toggle this to 3 days and click save. And it'll show up like this. Okay. Now, if I wanted to go every 3 days for like 3 or 4 times, and then you could bump it out to 5 days, bump it out to 7 days, bump it out to 30 days, whatever. I want to copy this text and this email. I just click on these 3 dots, copy all actions from here. It'll copy both of these. And then I can place them right here at the bottom. And it copied them there. So now I have a text that goes out, a 3-day wait, a text that goes out, a 3-day wait. And this is how I would build my marketing campaign. If I wanted to do another 3, I could copy all 4 of these, move them to the bottom. And now I've got 4 of them that go, right? I can easily just jump in here and say, I want to text them from the start. Let's send them 3 days and then 3 days. And then let's go 5 days. I can click on that, change this to 5, change this to 5.
Oh, simple.
And then I can change this one to 7. 7, save. Now it's going to text. When you push them into it, they're going to get text 1. It'll wait 3 days, text 2. Wait 3 days, text 3. Wait 5 days, text 4. Wait 7 days, and you could keep right on going. You could put emails in here if you want. You can put whatever you want. But I would create this as your marketing campaign, write all the text messages. Mm-hmm. Because you can look at them here and you can say, okay, they're going to get this one where you're introducing yourself. And then 3 days later, it's like a, hey, just checking to see if you got my last text. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? That could be this text. And then this one, you've written, introduce yourself. Hey, just checking in. This could say, hey, just wanted to bump this back up because I know life's busy. Feel free to text me here or give me a call if you're interested at all. I'd love to talk to you. Right? Like building a conversation through text, like you're cold texting somebody. Mm-hmm. So you just write them like that. When you get this built, 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever you want, you can make this as long as you want. Then you would go back to the contacts, upload the list, and push them all into this. and it would start all of them, and it would start going text, wait 3 days, text, wait 3 days, text 5, text 7, and it would run them through the list. And then if somebody replies stop, it'll just automatically mark their phone number as like D&D, and it'll stop sending them stuff.
Okay.
You can also change like the settings up here to where it stops on response. Right? Because the last thing you want is for somebody to respond, be like, hey, yeah, I'd love to talk to you. And then the next day they get a text that's like, hey, just check and see if you got my last text.
Oh, okay.
So you want to do stop on response, right? And then I wouldn't allow the reentry, because this is a marketing campaign that's going to start with you introducing yourself to a cold lead. So if we toggle that off, that means you can upload a list of contacts, push them into this workflow, and they'll go through and get all the texts or stop on response or whatever. But then if you went back and re-added all the contacts, they wouldn't be able to jump back into this one. It would go, they've already been through this one, and it would bypass them.
Oh, okay.
So they couldn't like go through this workflow a second time. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep.
So I would build your marketing campaign here. And then you want to stop on response. So you're sending text messages. If somebody texts you back and is like, hey, yeah, I'd be interested in XYZ, then at that point, you're going to take that person and add them to the pipeline as an opportunity and start tracking them in the pipeline through your sales process.
Okay, that makes sense.
So there's kind of 2 stages for you guys when you're going to have your marketing, and then your pipeline is going to be like active deals and working leads and things like that. And I think pretty much any business, in my opinion, needs a pipeline of some sort. Like we have people doing social media marketing companies where they're creating like Instagram posts and social media posts for clients, and they create a pipeline, and it's literally like create content, content ready for approval, content approved to post, content scheduled, and they just slide people through the pipeline. And then of course, real estate, new lead, talk to the new lead, in communication, send the contract sent, own the property, market to buyers or flipping houses, start renovation, like any business can have a pipeline. If you're doing coaching, it's literally like you're selling a 3-month coaching program, make a 3-month timeline, slide people through it, or just have clients on it where it's like new leads or potential clients, and then sign the contract or send the contract signed, coaching, current coaching client. There's always a pipeline that kind of lets you get a quick view and look at your people and say, this is where everybody is in the process. And then your tasks, say somebody responds to one of the text messages, and you get a text message from them. Let's say Aaron Jennings here responded to a text down here. Over here on the right side is your notes and your tasks at the top. So while I'm talking to this person, if it's a text message and they're like, hey, yeah, I'd be interested, I would click the black phone up here and I would call them from scalability. And while I'm having the conversation through my computer or from the app on my phone, I would click notes over here, add a note, and I would be taking notes while I'm talking to this person on the phone. Then I save the notes from our conversation. And remember, tasks are your to-do list. So I'm going to say, this person is going to go out of town for 2 weeks. They asked me to call them back in 2 weeks. I'd hover on the task, add a task. It's like call back and set a due date for 2 weeks later. And then when you save that, that task will show up on your dashboard when you first log in. So when you log into Scalability, you're going to see your dashboard first. If you scroll down a little bit right here, you'll see tasks. Right there is callback, and it gives you the date. You can filter those for like pending, done, most recent to most past due, whatever. When you click on it, it goes straight back into that full contact profile. So if it was like call them back, you click on it, brings you here, click the phone, call them, add a note, set the next task, the next to-do list item for the follow-up.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep. Yep. If we wanted to incorporate mailers into that list that we did the marketing campaign, is there a way to build like a reminder to send mailers to these, people every 2 weeks or something?
Yeah, so you would be using a different software for your mailers or physically sending them out yourself, right?
Mhm.
You could create like, are you just wanting to remind yourself like, hey, it's time to send the next batch kind of a thing?
Yep, yep.
So I would create a workflow, start from scratch. And then in here, you could, let's just call this like mailer reminders. And here you could just, basically you can create, they call an internal notification. If you start searching internal, let's say send internal notification right here. When you click on that, it will let you choose the type and you can say email, notification, or SMS. Notification is just like a reminder inside of scalability, so that won't come to you. But you could set it to send yourself an email or a text reminding you to do something. So an internal notification means it's going to let you choose somebody on the scalability staff to send a message to. So I have these. When you book an automation audit with me, it's going to remind you that our call is coming up. And then 1 hour before and 10 minutes before, I get a text from scalability that says, hey, you've got an automation audit with Kristen in 10 minutes. It's an internal notification. It texts my personal cell phone and it reminds me to show up. So you could set, an SMS, and then here you can select like the user type, all users or particular user. You could say particular user if it's somebody on your team that handles it. And then below that, you'll select the user and then you can write the text. And the text is literally just send out mailers, or it's time to send round 2 of mailers to XYZ, or just send mailers. But this is just sending a text to the user on your team that's going to handle it. And then it was the same thing as the other one. You'd send an internal notification to yourself or the person on the team, do a 7-day wait if you're doing it once a week, and then send them another text. Hey, it's time to send the mailers. And each week they're going to get a text or an email reminder saying, hey, it's time to send the mailers.
Okay.
I like doing things like that because that's the whole point. If you don't have to try to remember what to do and when, and then you can also, so you can make it like text yourself. If you type in task, you can add a task, and this is where you can have it assign a to-do list item for yourself. Right? So you can say task, call it send mailers. Copy it, put it here. You can assign it to a specific person and then give it 1 day just to get it done. Save action. So this means that when it comes to this, it's going to create a task and put it on your dashboard as a to-do item. That makes sense?
Yeah, and so then when I upload a list, I can tie it to this workflow. So then I would know that list.
If you're going to be consistently doing it, like, is this something you're going to consistently do?
Yes. Yes.
She's thinking, about 10 minutes ago, he told me to commit to something for 10 years. What's the right answer here? I'm like, yep, you got it. You passed the test. So commit even your marketing plans, right? Like commit to them for a while out. And so this is basically going to be pushing yourself into starting it, right? Or you can say when a tag is added, this is going to be more for you, not the contacts. So
Okay.
like this would be pushing no, you could do that. You could upload a list and you could start the mailers and then you could like push them all into this. Because I would say what would happen is as all of those people, let's say it's 1,000 people and you push them into here, they're all going to come in right here at the top, right? And then it's going to drop down. And let's say you wait. The first thing you do is wait 7 days. So you're going to send out the first round of mailers and then you're going to push 1,000 people in here and drop them into this workflow. The first thing it's going to do is come in and hit this and wait 7 days. Then it's going to task you to send the next ones, right? You can do an internal, make it a text, and have it send to you, and just say send mailers. And so now it's going to drop everybody in, wait 7 days. It's going to create a task for you and send a text to you, reminding you to send the next ones. And then they would hit here, and I could do a 7-day wait again. Just copy this one action and put it right there. Or you can copy all the actions again. But basically, you just make this repeat. And so, yes, you could upload the 1,000 people. You could just push them into this and the mailer reminders. And if you're going to commit to, say, when you send a mail campaign for these 1,000 people, when you upload them to the contacts, you want to tag them. Like October 2024 mailer campaign. And you know you're going to run a mail campaign for 3 months. And you make this reminder thing 3 months long. So then you're going to push everybody in and tag them all for October 24, and then push them into this, and it will remind you for 3 months to send them every week, right? This is just one way you can do it, just to create reminders for yourself. But then let's say January, you run another mailer campaign to a new list. You upload 1,000 people and you tag them January 25 mailer campaign, and you push them all into this. This is just going to wait 7 days and remind you for 3 months to send the mailers. So you could use this automation over and over, but you want to tag the list of people so that when you get the reminders, hey, it's time to send the mailers, you're going to go back to the last campaign and search for that tag. October 24 mailers, and you're going to send the mailers to that list again.
Okay.
Or if you have that list basically in your mail campaign already. I'm assuming if you're using a software, you're uploading that list to the software for the mailers, and it's creating all the mailers and sending them out. Is that the way you're doing it?
Right now no, we're not. We're handwriting it because that's scalable.
Okay. You got to start somewhere.
You're right? Yeah.
Don't worry, you got to start somewhere. Everybody does things manual in the beginning. But this is a way that, like, if you're manually doing them, yes, this is how I would create just reminders to come through the system, because you want to train yourself to log into scalability every day, scroll down, see your tasks, and do the tasks.
Okay.
And then when people respond, it's the same. If somebody calls you or texts you from your mailer, you go to your pipeline, and up in the top right, just click Add Opportunity and select their contact, and then create, and it will create their card right there on the pipeline. And now you'll be able to see them on the pipeline, and you could move them through the process.
Okay. Makes sense.
So again, they're moving here once they're communicating with you.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Crystal, I see you had some questions. You want to ask before you go?
Sure. So the main one is, I think when I was on here a while ago, that we did have ability to make a QR code that will connect to our funnel. Is that correct? Or do I need to somewhere else? Because I have the opportunity to join a television show and be on it. Yeah, so we want a QR code that they can show on there to lead people to the funnels. So I need it by Monday.
So go to, you guys would go to sites when you log in.
Okay.
I can share my screen again. When you log into scalability, click on sites in the left side menu.
Okay.
And then across the top towards the right side, you'll see QR codes.
Awesome. Okay.
So click QR codes there, create a QR code, and then here you'll like name it, and you would say website, and then you would, when you click on that, you're going to continue on to next. And then here is where you put the actual website, your URL, and it's going to link that URL to the QR code.
Okay. And I just put in my labelbreakers.com there, right? I mean, that's the,
Wherever you want them to go. Yep.
Okay.
And then when you go to the next screen, it's going to let you actually change like the shapes. You're like, oh, I want it to look more like that or like this or whatever. And then you can change the colors of it and all that type of stuff. So you guys can make them branded, on things. You can even put your logo in them or a logo in them.
Yeah.
Nope, maybe you can't. Maybe you can only use those. Nope, you can upload an image right here.
That's good.
So,
So you
if I upload my label breaker logo to the media center, then I can grab it from there.
Yep, exactly. Upload it to the media center, media storage in scalability. And then when you hover over it or click the three dots in the top right corner, I think you can grab a link for that image. You can do it that way. Actually, this says upload image. So if you click on that, it should go straight to your media storage. And then you can just double click it.
Cool.
And so you see then it puts it right in the middle.
And then I can make the color on the outside my color for label breakers.
Yeah, there's a few different colors you can choose here. There's like border color. So we can see what they all look like. That's the borders around those black dots. And then the center markers.
Nice.
So you can customize kind of all the colors around it.
Okay.
And then
Awesome.
download the QR code and you'll be able to like send it to them. And anytime somebody scans it, it's going to go straight to your website.
Okay, cool. That seems easy enough.
It is, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, awesome. Okay,
I
because
used
I
to
was
pay-
looking for
I
it.
used to pay $200 a year just for a service to make QR codes for people. Now it's
Oh,
built in.
Wow. That's awesome. I thought you showed me that, but I was kind of looking through the spaces and I didn't find it. So I thank you for pointing that out. And then my other question I'll save for a different week because I don't need it immediately, but it was about since we did the retreat, like you said, learning lessons and code tweaking and keep moving forward. But I did realize instead of having just them go to a pay page and they can pay, that we need to have I need to have a vetting page.
A
That if
vetting
I really
page?
want,
You want to weed them out?
yeah, not
I
to
would do
be
an
mean.
application then.
Yeah, so like an application page. So, is that just a step that I would need to just put in the funnel before the pay page, or you do the application page instead of the pay page, and then you can send the pay page?
How are we weeding them out? What do you want to happen? And so let me give you some options in case you don't know. So you can simply creating friction weeds out a lot of people, right? Usually just friction. Like if you're doing a free challenge or a free PDF, it's like, give me your first name and your email address. That's it. And we'll send it to you, right? Because you want everybody to opt in so that you can build a list and you can start marketing to people. But if you're going to give, say, like I do the automation audits, right? If I'm going to give a free automation audit, there's 5 or 6 questions you have to answer. And so it goes in like when you click schedule an automation audit, it takes you and you got to fill out like 5 or 6 questions. It's not a big deal, but it does weed some people out because they're like, I don't have time for this. I don't want to waste my time. I was just curious anyway, and they leave, right? And if they answer the questions, then when I show up to the audit, I already know whether they've ever hired a team before, if they have a website, I know a little bit about them. And then I go more in depth. If it's like a say a $25,000 a year mastermind and you want the right people in it, there's going to be like an application. It's just going to be a form or a survey. A survey will give them one question at a time. A form gives them all the questions and they can see it. So you could create a survey where they answer one question, it takes them to the next step, right? And the only way they get to the calendar to schedule a call with you at the end is if they answer all the questions, right? So if you want to say, hey, we're only allowing certain people, or we're only allowing a certain number of people in blah, blah, blah. If somebody submits the form and answers all the questions and goes straight to the calendar and books the call, or goes straight to the payment page and buys the thing, then that's like a form and a survey is going to get information from them and weed some people out just with friction. But everybody could still answer all the questions and buy the thing. So you could, if you wanted to have a weeding out process to where if they answer a question this way, then it's going to weed them out or take them to the next step. That's an automation you have to build.
Okay.
And it gets a little tricky. That one actually is a little tricky because you have to create like a math equation to move them in the right place, but it is doable. We've done it before and it was a learning process for us as well. So that one is going to be tricky, but you can make it to where when somebody answers a question, if they answer with these things, it runs them down this side of an automation. If they answer with the other things, it runs them down the other way. So basically it's like, are you able to, let's say somebody's applying for coaching and to work with me is $7,500. If I don't want to take everybody on the phone that doesn't have $7,500, I can literally ask up front before they get to schedule the call. I can say, are you able to make a $7,500 buying decision today on our call? And if they go, no, I'm unable to, I can make the automation go, sorry, it doesn't seem like we're a fit, and just never shows them the calendar and never lets them book or never lets them buy the ticket. So it depends on what you want to do. But the easiest way up front is just to create friction. Because friction in itself weeds out a lot of people right off the bat.
Right.
So create a form and ask a bunch of questions on it
So
before it goes to the payment page.
where do I create a form? Is that just in one of the template?
Are we talking about signing up for the live event?
Yes, but now as you're
Okay.
talking, that will also lead into higher coaching clients as stuff moves forward,
But there's still two offers.
Right.
Because if you're selling a ticket to a live event, some of those people will be coaching clients, but that would be a separate screening.
Right, exactly.
Right, because you still want to make your money and get people at the event, have a good event, and then sell some of them into the coaching and not sell all of them. So there's two separate screenings, right? So on the front side, you could have basically a smaller or a more basic screening that's just friction, and then an actual application process with an automation or something that weeds them out before it's a booking call. Now, I don't think that's something you should be doing or worrying about until the volume of calls you have is too much and you can't keep up with it. Because you want to prove an offer works and you want to talk to everybody so that you can figure out who needs what, so that you can dial in your offer and keep crafting and refining your offer to make it better and better to where people just, everybody wants it. Then when everybody's trying to buy it, you start adding friction to slow it down. And so friction can even be, hey, it's $47 to a $10 event. Well, if you had 100 people that could come and 100 people bought and you had 200 people waiting, it was a good offer and you're overflowed with people. So raise the price to $299. That created friction and half of them are going to drop off. If you're still got plenty of them, then raise the price again. There's no form needed, just needs to be a higher price and it weeds people out. Right. So pricing can be a friction point. And then questions and answers, steps they have to go through is also a friction point. So when you get an offer, if it's your live event and you got a bunch of people coming to it and you want to just reduce that, you can add friction. If it's like, we really don't want these type of people to come, then create some form of an application or a call where they have to get on the call and you get to talk to them on the call. And then you decide whether to offer them the opportunity to buy a ticket. So you kind of like automate your friction when you know your person wants what you have, it's selling good, you've got a lot of volume and you can't keep up with it. And now you're going 40 hours a week just trying to take calls and sell tickets. Like that's not any fun. So you want to start adding friction by, here's a long questionnaire before you can book a call. Now you're going to take a lot less calls and then you raise the price to cover all the people that aren't coming through anymore. And then on the phone, you're like, seems like it's not a good fit. Or you go deeper into building automation that weeds them out, on the front side.
All right. Well, thank you for that. That will be a work on.
Is it somebody that you can weed out with just friction? Or, can you give me any more details as to who it is you're trying to
Well,
come in?
each time is a learning experience. And our
course.
thing is very small where we're doing the retreats right now.
Mhm.
So, but we just had multiple people that had talked, especially like on my mom's side, especially because she does the counseling and stuff. And they're like, "Oh, I want to come." And she's like, "I don't got the bandwidth for that, you know?" And then I was like, realizing that like on the event page that I was just letting people pay. And as long as they paid, they could come. And like you said, raising the price will weed out some, you know, just doing that. But
Mhm.
that it is it is a unique space. So if people like want to ask like what kind of happens or what's going on, you know, even like we realized we deal with horses. So some people are scared to death of horses, and that like can make a block of them being there, you know. So
Yep.
I mean, it just is like you said, it's a learning, tweaking process as you do each thing. So
So some of that too is like build that straight into your sales pages and
okay.
your frequently asked questions. So you may not need to add friction, you may need to educate more on what to expect.
Okay.
So, and then, so, because this is how you dial in the event too.
Mm-hmm.
So for instance, I held an event 2022. We were still coming out of COVID stuff, but I was in Florida. Florida didn't really care. We didn't do COVID in Florida. And so I held a live event and I didn't think about it because I'm like, we ain't doing jack for Florida, you know, for COVID down here. It didn't affect us. I don't know what you got, what the world's worried about. And so somebody asked me, they're like, what precautions are you going to have for COVID? And I was like, oh, that's a good question. I guess if you want to wash your hands and wear a mask, you can, but we're not going to do anything. So you're on your own. You know, it's like, I don't know what to tell you. It was basically, we're not doing anything. And I thought about it, I'm like, that would be easily fixed by a frequently asked questions at the bottom of the page. And so every question somebody asked me, we went in and we just added a FAQ section at the bottom and it said, do you have, you know, what are you guys doing for COVID? And literally just wrote out a little paragraph, like, here's what to expect. And like, I don't have any, you don't really care or have any like, you can't come because you don't like this kind of a thing, or, oh, if you're COVID crazy, you can't come. Like, it wasn't anything like that. It was just, I didn't think about it. And so when somebody presents a question, it's perfect. You get to refine the offer, like we talked about at the beginning of this call. You're refining your event though. And then the way you structure your events can help with the bandwidth of people. So when you go to an event, typically you're not hanging out and walking around the same room with the speakers, unless you bought a VIP ticket or a more expensive ticket, right? Or something like that. And so when you're running an event, you can't run an event like you're just hanging out at your house with a group of friends.
But our event kind of is that at
Unless
the
that is
moment.
what it is, right?
That's what it
And
is.
if it
It's a
is what it
3 days
is,
hanging out at the house with the
yep,
speakers.
yep. And if that is what it is, then maybe there is an application process, right? But even if you're hanging out in a room with everybody, you'll have to, your refining isn't refining just a sales page, it's refining the actual way that you interact in that space. So like at my live event, everybody there were people that had paid me for coaching and things throughout the years. So they all wanted to hang out with me because it was like, hey, we got a private chef and we got, you know, our families are here and we got a yacht and we got all this stuff and they just want to hang out with me. And that was what it was created for. But I kept it to under 10 people so that we could.
Yeah.
And then I made sure that I just bounced around and spent time with everybody because that was the intention, right? Honestly, it was just so that I could get a yacht for 24 hours
Come on.
and then get it paid for. But you have to learn to act at the events differently, right? I got a buddy here in Texas that did a live event at his deal, and he literally had the stage set up. And at the end of the stage, they put curtains over to the door that went out the back of the building. And he actually hung out and ate his meal and everything in the hallway by himself, the whole event, so that people couldn't get to him. And he had a authority because you only got to see him on the stage and then he only came out for a certain amount of time. And if you look at that, you're like, well, that's kind of silly. Why would somebody do that? Because he understands his position in the eyes of his clients. And if he comes, I mean, like it sounds bad, but if he comes down and hangs out in the space for the entire time, there's nothing special that they should pay for. Right? So think about that with your events too. If they're coming out and hanging out with you for three days and they really respect you and see you as an authority position in their life for coaching, say, then, and you just hang out with them for 3 days, if it's like $40, you're saying my time's not that valuable. And I don't think highly of my time, but if I say, yeah, it'll cost you $10,000 to come hang out with me for the weekend, you're like, ooh, like I need to invest this money because I'm gonna like really enjoy that, get something out of it. To get something out of it could just be the enjoyment of hanging for that time, but you automatically see me in a higher light, which would allow me to sell you something later. Whereas if you say, yeah, give me $20, come hang out for the day, and then I try to pitch you a $4,000 coaching program, you're like, it's $20 to hang out with you. Why would I pay $4,000 for coaching? Right? So everything is setting up. If you're going to sell coaching offers later, maybe you need to restructure the event too, to where it raises your authority to where later when you're pitching the coaching package, they see the value of it and they're like, oh, this is great. Because it is different, right? Like,
just so everybody knows, my event didn't cost $40 for the weekend. It was a little higher price than that. I do value myself a little more.
I was using that as an example.
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time.
I think if somebody's hanging out with you for a few days, like for a few days especially, like it should easily be up around $1,000 or more. If you're going to be selling any kind of a coaching program, it should cost people to be there.
Yeah.
You know, I spent $2,000 to sit in a room for 6 hours a day for 2 days. No access to the speakers once they left the room. You know, they'd kind of come and mingle with you and talk, and then they were out. Somebody's like going to come to your house and hang out for 3 days, charge them for it.
Yeah, right.
Because that was
Especially if you have a horse.
Closest. Yeah.
What'd you say, MJ?
I said, especially if you have a horse.
Well, we
Exactly.
did do it this time around for 500, but we have heard feedback minimum 1,000 and up. So yeah. So yeah, that is in the works. That is going to be one of the easier weed out things.
Bye,
But
Jill.
thank you. Bye, Jill. But yeah, so thank you for touching. I know there's other people, but I will I'll work on that later, but I did want to get the QR code and if you have any questions or just want some tips on doing camper life, dude, we did it for a year with 3 kids and a dog. And I don't know if you're traveling around, we did, but it was amazing. And
Andre and I lived in one for 9 months before we had the girls. We traveled around doing missions work, so we're pretty familiar. We're
but
pretty
you
good
didn't
at
have
bouncing
kids,
around.
so if you want trips with kids,
It's true.
we got some for you.
Gotcha. All right.
But it's fun. And Kristen, I love seeing your puppy. I just lost my soul puppy 2 days ago, and she was always on the Zooms with me and in my stuff. So Jesus, let me see your soul puppy. So love that soul puppy. But jumping off, love you guys. Thank you, Erin, for all you do. We'll see you next
You're welcome. MJ, Inger, can I help you guys? How can I serve you this week?
I'm just saying hi.
Okay. I got your stuff done, so we got to talk to you anyway. I'll text you
Oh,
later.
nice. Awesome. Awesome. And Crystal sort of had the question about the QR code, so that was cool. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Nice to see you, though.
Likewise. Inger, how can I serve you?
Well, I'm totally stuck on the PayPal thing because I still have that problem that I shared before, that there was some snags, and I contacted PayPal and they asked me to come to have this to contact for a service or that knows more about the structure, but they never asked sent me an email back. So I'm still having those same problems with the PayPal. It doesn't work. And so what do you suggest? Should I quit using PayPal, or because my task in the scalability is making a Stripe account, and but I've been waiting to get, if I can get it sorted out with the PayPal first, but
Yeah.
if they're not answering me back, so yeah.
PayPal is kind of the support on the big companies is hard to deal with. I forget, what's the problem? Is it integrating with scalability and it's just because you're in another country issue, or was it not integrating and working with scalability? What was it?
What Shane wrote here in the email, it doesn't work as it should do. So because we made an extra button for the checkout for them to use that, but it didn't work. It didn't get them the book, because we had a launching, and it didn't work as it should be. So now I'm not able to give that book to those who attended the celebration. So yeah, so it is a little
Okay.
too difficult to share here on the screen, but it might be because there's another country. I'm not sure. That was Shane was thinking about, because he didn't find the reason why it wouldn't work.
So Shane's been working on it for you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's probably talked to tech support and stuff then too. Is it allowing to take the payments? Does it allow you to take the payments?
Really started yet, because they were going to send, because we were going to have a kind of middle solution where we could just be, because for those attendees, that they could get that book for a very cheap price. So I would send them a link, because it didn't work at all. So actually it hasn't worked at all.
So you were sending them a link directly to PayPal to give them the book for free or for cheap after they came to your event. Is that right?
Actually, it's been such a long time now that I don't remember. I just know that it didn't work, and
Okay.
so I just need help. What should I do? Should I just not use PayPal? Should I just ask them again and write another email? What should I do concerning that?
Yeah. Well, I'm one that likes to get to the point as quick as possible, so I would probably start a Stripe account, integrate it, and start using it. Because then you can still work on the PayPal problem. You know what I mean? Like you could still work on it, try to figure it out, but you'd have something and start getting moved towards getting that working. Because it might be a country issue, it might be something else. But where you have like some people working on it, like Shane and them, like they're fairly good at the tech side of things, I would think it's an actual problem with PayPal. If it was an actual problem with PayPal and you can't get through to PayPal, then I would go straight around them. Like that's just the way I do it. Because if not, you're like going through that loop. You can continue, and I would like keep trying to get PayPal figured out, or even start a new PayPal account and see if the new one works. But I would try like some different things. So I would probably try Stripe. We use Stripe for everything, just because it's quick and easy, and it kind of gets things up and rolling as quick as possible. PayPal, we've used PayPal. I don't even like the integration as much. So to me, like Stripe is easier to use and everything anyway. So I would go straight to Stripe. I would get it started because it's free to get it started. And then I would get it plugged in and working, and then keep working on trying to get PayPal if you're just wanting to use it or have it as an option.
When I did try to make one, but then I stopped because they were asking me about getting a number for a registration at in my country. I live in Norway, and they wanted that number because it seems that I need to start a business, and I haven't done that. So would you suggest that I'll be a sole proprietor, and to get then the information they need to register in my country as a business owner? Would you suggest that would be a good thing to do?
To give them the registration from your country, is that what you mean?
To register as a sole proprietor business owner? Because they were asking for this number
Yeah, if you have
before
to have it. Yeah, if you have to have it to get the payment processor set up.
Yes, it seems so.
Yeah. Because yeah, Stripe is essentially like it's a legitimate payment processor, so they're working for like businesses and things like that. So for sure, like if they're needing it, I would go ahead and just do, get that stuff to them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That way it's set up properly. And then if you can, because I think if I remember right, they would let you set up the account without it, but it wouldn't technically work properly until you get them that in your bank account and stuff like that. It's connected. That way they can actually send you payments that come in. Shoot me a message outside of here though, and to where just remind me to where we can take a look at your account and like we'll jump in and look at it and see if we can actually see like what the problem is and how we could help figure that out for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, that way we
Great.
can take a look at it because it sounds like we need to actually look at it from the tech side of things a little bit and see if it's something on there, as opposed to like this where we're trying to do the strategy and stuff. But I want to make sure we get you taken care of. So shoot me a message outside of here, and then we can ask Shane too and see if there's what he's tried or something like that, and see if we can help.
Yeah. Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Well, I got a text here saying Dr. G's just sitting in, gleaning today. Glad you hung out with us. Thank you for your time. We'll go ahead and wrap it up since Friday, 12:44. Make sure we get to everybody, but have an awesome weekend, everybody. Thank you for showing up, giving me questions. Good conversation. I like these. Feel free to holler at us during the week if you guys get stuck with anything or if you need help building anything. You can text or email from that number that you get stuff from us from. Anything else before we go? I see you unmuting, Kristen. I was like,
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. That's all I
You're
wanted
welcome.
to say. Have a good weekend, everyone.
All right. Have a good weekend, guys. We'll see you next Friday.
Bye.